Our next story comes from Tal and Betsy Bosin, who have been partners and volunteers with AMPATH for more than 25 years. They are instrumental in the Mongaza Scholarship Program, which provides full tuition scholarships to Moy University medical students. Their story is titled Our Starfish Story.
In this case, it's not ladies first.
One morning, a young boy was walking along the seashore. And as he walked, he encountered hundreds of stranded starfish. And as he walked, he would reach down, pick up a starfish, and throw it back into the sea. Coming in the opposite direction was an old man. The old man observed the boy. As he got close to the boy, he said, "Son, you know, this is a hopeless situation. There is no way you can make a difference." The boy smiled, continued down the shore, picking up a starfish, throwing it back into the sea, and was heard to say, "But it made a difference to that one. But it made a difference to that one." So I'm Tal Bosin. I went to Kenya 30 years. 30 years ago this month with Bob Einturst. At the time, I was directing the medical sciences program in Bloomington. And I was interested in exploring, and we did develop an exchange program in the basic sciences for Moy University scientists and those in the Bloomington program. I came back, and in 1997, Betsy and I went back to Kenya with our youngest daughter for just a brief visit. This was her first exposure, and she got a taste for life in Eldoret. And then in 2000, we returned, and in 2000, the landscape changed, and we forever changed.
So I get to tell you the fun part. In 2000, Tal was going to go teach third-year medical students pharmacology, infectious disease, for 6 weeks and lecture them. They never get lectures, so they were thrilled. But what was I going to do? So we went to Bob Einturst, and this turns out to be a brilliant idea, Bob. Bob said, "Why don't you interview some of the medical students that are being loosely helped with some monies from people who've been to Eldoret and see the plight of the medical students?" So we got the list of students, we interviewed them, Tal would ask questions, I would write the notes, and it opened up to us the life of a medical student at Moy University. And we saw resilience, perseverance, overcoming amazing obstacles. And I think it won our heart to be relating to these students. So after that, in early December, still part of our 6 weeks, we went to an awards ceremony where they gave out monetary awards to the students who'd done this or that. And we're sitting there, and we witness 12 students, 2 from each of the grades, get a full scholarship. Now, full scholarships mean a lot here, but it's magnified in Kenya, because if you don't have the money to pay your tuition, you don't take exams. And if you don't take exams, you have to rewind the whole academic year, putting you further into the hole. So we saw what a difference the scholarship made, because 2 of the students we had just interviewed were recipients, Stephen and Rose. Well, I want to tell you that our hearts were changed at that point. We were transformed just like the lives of those students. And it's all due to a person who's on your screen. Now, there she is. This is an Indiana resident of Indianapolis, Ellie Thurston, who was approached by the AMPATH program at the time to give a gift. and she was given a grocery list. And in the grocery list were several items, and one of them was scholarships. And Ellie said, I want to give a scholarship in honor of my husband, Max, because both of us were given scholarships to finish our education. So those 12 scholarships were endowed with Ellie's gift at the time in 2000, and they were called the Thurston Scholars. But over the years, with many more donors, it's changed to Mangaza, which means light, because it's a light to their path to finish school, but it's even brighter for them to become doctors and help their families in their villages. So a little bit later, we've done work since then because Bob asked us to help coordinate it. So Tal and I are coordinators, but basically we're cheerleaders because we go to Kenya every year and we cheer on the committees that work there, and we also get to interact with as many students as we can invite. So I want to tell you that the staff at present at AMPATH and the past staff have been great supporters, and I thank them very much for their help. But two committees. This first committee is the scholarship committee that the dean appoints. They meet, they have applications, they make selections, and they award the scholarships every year. Then there's another committee called the finance committee. Some of them are extras like me, but some of them are accountants, so that every dollar that's donated is going to the right place. There's great integrity in the program for these 25 years.
So where are we today? Just to help you put this into context, there are about 400 government-sponsored medical students at Moy University. That's over the 6 years beginning post-high school. Currently, we have 75 students on scholarship. We have another 75 on work study. And then we had to create an emergency fund. This was in the mid-2010, 2013, because students were having emergencies and they lived so on the edge, they couldn't meet those emergencies. A medical emergency, a death in the family, lack of food. So we created an emergency fund, and currently somewhere around 100 students access that fund each term. And then we learned that our students were food insecure. They were starving. And so we started a food program. It's a supplementing program. It's a program where the students receive some foodstuffs every month. For example, ugali flour, rice, cooking oil, etc. And we have somewhere between 80 and 100 students each month receiving foods. So go back to what I initially said, which was there are 400. We have well over 50% of the students at Moy University receiving assistance through the Mangaza program. Now, I want to tell you about one of our starfish. Loco Boro Elima is her name. Loco is a member of the Gabra tribe. The Gabras live up in the northern part of Kenya near the border with Ethiopia. And they are nomadic. They herd camels primarily. That's the preferred animal, because a camel can go a week without water. The camel is the currency for paying a bride price. When a young man marries a woman, he must provide the woman's family with a bride price, 3 camels, 2 male, 1 female. And lastly, they are the means of transport from one place to another as the animals need to find new pasture. So the camel transports the house, and the camel transports of the young children. Loco's the third born of a family of 10 children, 3 girls, 7 boys. And in her early years, she was the best shepherd in the family. She would watch the animals out in the hot sun. She was not really a candidate for school because it was felt in that community that girls shouldn't be educated. Why would you invest in a girl that's going to get married off and help another family? They were also taught that school is a terrible place. If you go to school, you're going to get beaten. If you go to school and do well, you're going to be taken away from your family and you may never see them again. So given that, there was a real stigma. And that all changed when the chief of the tribe ordered that a girl from each family must go to school. And so Loco was selected from her family to attend a day school, which she could walk to. The school was hot. The school consisted of Loco and 56 boys. And it lacked water, and it lacked staff and supplies. Nevertheless, she excelled. She was the top student at the end of 8th grade on the national test in her county. And that qualified her to go to a national school. The national school was in Nairobi, 3,000 kilometers from her family and her tribe. And so she was transported to Nairobi on the back of a lorry, sitting for 2 to 3 days to reach Nairobi. When she reached Nairobi, she went to the school, and it was an all-girls school in one of the coldest places in Kenya. Nevertheless, she excelled. She did so well, she was able to score high on the national exam at the end of high school and get admitted to Moi University, School of Medicine in Eldoret. So she comes to Eldoret, but she doesn't have support financially to clear the fees and to survive. She applies for a scholarship. She was awarded a scholarship, and the scholarship allowed her to reach her potential. She graduated. She then did an internship and is now married with 2 children and is a physician in Marsabit County Hospital. Taking care of her fellow Kenyans. And all of these kids do. So, what have we learned? Here's what we've learned. We've learned that this program has had a huge effect on Kenyan medical students at Moi University. And we've seen it, we've witnessed it, and we testify to that. Now I want to conclude the way we, the way we concluded our visits with Ellie Thurston. Every time we would take Kenyan medical students to visit Ellie, first in her home, then in her condo, then in her retirement community, and any Kenyan that was related to Mangaza work-study saw Ellie. And we would take them to the house, and our parting words when we left Ellie's house after these special visits, I want to say to you, and that is, as we end our time here sharing, these are the words we shared with Ellie. Ellie, look